Good morning, boys and girls. So today's math lesson is basically a continuation of yesterday's. So we're just going to call it part 2 of using multiplication to divide. So we are still going to have the objective that we will use multiplication to solve division problems, but we're also adding that we're going to use a simple strategy to solve problems, and that simple strategy is just using multiplication to solve division problems. Okay? We are going to go through 2 examples once we talk about what all of our numbers in a division problem are called, and then we're going to go through a word problem together. So let's get started with our first problem right here. We have 144 divided by 9, and we're trying to find our answer. So before we get started on our strategy we're going to use, let's talk about what each of these numbers is called. So yesterday, if you remember, I called this the larger number, the first number. The mathematical term for this number is actually the dividend. It's the number that goes inside the house when you're dividing. Our second number is called the divisor, and it is the number that we are seeing how many times does our divisor go into our dividend. And our answer, or what number we're trying to find, is called our quotient. So if I say answer or quotient, we mean the same thing, okay? So when we're using multiplication to divide, I'm going to show you a little different way than we learned yesterday. Our first step is we're going to break our dividend into 2 smaller numbers. And that's just going to help us divide that big number a little bit more easily. So we're going to have 144 broken into 2 smaller numbers. So I went ahead and set up my parentheses to have a number plus a number. But guess what? We still have to divide that by 9. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that down. So do you remember yesterday when we talked about breaking the number into a multiple of 10 and another number? Yeah, we're going to do the same thing today. And how I always like to start is by trying to multiply this number by 10 and seeing if it'll go into our dividend, okay? So we're going to multiply our divisor by 10 and see if it'll go into our dividend. So 9 times 10 is 90, and it does go into our dividend, so that's going to be our first number. Now we need to find out 90 plus what equals 144. So we'll just do 144 minus 90. And you might be able to do this in your head, but I'm going to write it out just so that we can see it. 4 minus 0 is 4. And 4 minus 9, can't do it. We'll turn that 4 into a 14. Turn that 1 into a 0. 14 minus 9. Great job. 5. So we have 54 left over. So we just broke 144 up into 90 plus 54. Now I need to divide both of these numbers by 9. So if you remember when we talked about the distributive property, we're basically distributing this 9 to both of these. So we can write it as 90 divided by 9 plus 54 divided by 9. And those are some that we should know without having to write it out like we would have with 144. So 90 divided by 9 is 10, because 10 times 9 is 90. 54 divided by 9 is what, boys and girls? 6, because 9 times 6 is 54. So what is 10 plus 6? 16, and that gives us our quotient, or our answer. We're going to try it one more time with another problem right here, okay? 133 divided by 7. Remember, our first step is to break up our dividend into 2 smaller numbers. And our first number, we always want to try a multiple of 10 because those are easy for at least me to divide. So let's look at our divisor. 7. 7 times 10 is 70. Does 70 go into 133? It guys. So I'm going to put 70 right here. How do I find out what number I put right here? Right, 133 minus 70. 3 minus 0. 3 minus 7 can't do. We make our 3 a 13 and our 1 a 0. So 13 minus 7 is what, boys and girls? Great job. 6. So we have 70 plus 63, and we have to bring down our divided by 7. So we're going to use that distributive property and have 70 divided by 7 plus 63 divided by 7. So what is 70 divided by 7? 10. Plus, what is 63 divided by 7? 9. And then we have 10 plus 9 to get our answer, which is 19. Awesome job, guys. So now we're going to use this strategy to solve a word problem. So let's read that word problem. I kind of made it a little shorter for the board, so I'm going to read it out of the book. Danny is making punch for a family picnic. She adds 16 fluid ounces of orange juice, 16 fluid ounces of lemon juice, and 8 fluid ounces of lime juice to 64 fluid ounces of water. How many 8-ounce glasses of punch can she fill? So that's a lot of numbers, right? We're trying to figure out how many 8-ounce glasses of punch Danny can fill with the juice she's made. Well, it told us that she used a lot of different measurements of juice and water. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to add all of those numbers. 16 ounces of orange juice, 16 ounces of lemon juice, 8 ounces of lime juice, and 64 ounces of water, because that's how much liquid she used to make her juice, right? So if we have 64 plus 16 plus 16 plus 8, what are we going to get? You can pause it and add those together really quick. We would get 104 ounces. So this is how much juice Danny made. What are we trying to figure out? How many 8-ounce glasses of punch she could fill. So if we have 104 ounces, we need to figure out how many 8-ounce jars she could fill. What are we going to do? That's right, 104 divided by 8. Is going to give us our number of glasses. So we're going to use multiplication to divide. So let's break up 104 into two smaller numbers. And go ahead and bring down divided by 8. So like I said, we're always going to start with a multiple of 10 because that's easy to divide. 8 times 10 is 80. 80 is smaller than 104, so let's do 80. Well then, how do we find this number? 104 minus 80. And that's going to give us 24. We're going to use that distributive property to divide by 8 for both numbers. So we have 80 divided by 8 plus what? 24 divided by 8. Great job. 80 divided by 8 is 10. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So how many glasses could Danny fill? 13. Guys, that is amazing. Even though this problem had one extra step, you still got to use that same strategy to help us